I look at this and I think, why is Nami crying? And then I think, I know why she's crying. Because she's surrounded by some dumb son of a bitches. I mean, look at the people that she surrounds herself with. She is very, very sad right now, and has reason to be so. One Piece Chapter 123, Luffy versus Mr. 3?
Well, hello, my brothers and sisters of the Nerd One Piece Nation. I, as always, am Jim, here to bring you another review on the epic and ongoing tale of One Piece. Our last chapter saw us with Luffy kind of finally, joining the mix. Him and Usopp and Karoo, of course, have come to save the day. We have Mr. 3, Mr. 5, Miss Golden Week, and Miss Valentine, who have, of course, kind of captured and are holding Zoro, Nami, and Vivi. And actually, Mr. 3 has created this huge wax candelabra thing that is basically like this giant birthday cake that's spinning at the top of these candles, and there's wax dripping down on them, and he's trying to pretty much like mummify them, create them into wax creations. So that's where we left off. That's where it picks up over here, and this is kind of a good one. This is it's a lot of fun. It's very action packed, and ultimately it's like Luffy versus Mr. 3. So Luffy goes and and he talks about it's actually kind of funny because at the beginning there is a bit of an exchange between Zoro and Nami. And Nami's basically telling Zoro goes and he's got his arm up like in this pose with his sword out, and she's like, "What are you doing?" And he's like, "Well, we're turning into wax. I want to be in this pose when I turn into a wax figure." And she's like, "You idiot. Maybe you should not concentrate on that. You should concentrate on worrying about, like, stopping your legs from bleeding, When I look at him, I mean, it just disgusts me, right?" He goes, "Well, don't look then." So it's just kind of funny, the banter and the humor that's created between these characters that are now getting to know each other better, So Zoro just sort of shrugs off these type of things, and Nami's just like, "What the? You're bleeding, You're disgusting." Vivi even makes mention at some point, too, of like, God, they don't even seem like they're fazed by this, in the face of death, They're just kind of like, ho-hum, ho-hum. So she's definitely either impressed, intrigued, or maybe a little bit frightened by that type of demeanor and attitude. But we wind up having, Luffy basically going, he's like, "Okay, so I need to take down that pillar, And he's like, no problem. And he's going to, like, he looks at Mr. 3 and he says, he doesn't look like much, I'll take him out. Mr. 3 goes and throws one of his, he says, because Luffy goes to get ready to do something there, and Mr. 3 winds up going and throwing this thing out, and candle lock, and he winds up getting Luffy's feet, kind of in midair. And Luffy's like, "Oh, man, and I can't move, and this and that." So then he goes and he thinks about it, and he's like, "Oh, yeah, this is perfect." So he goes and he shoots one of his arms out and grabs onto one of the daggers, the candle daggers that are through Broggy's hands and feet. Grabs onto one, he's like, "Excuse me, Mr. Giant," and he like wraps himself up around that a bunch of times, and then goes and gets himself flinging in like a big, uses the centrifugal force to build up like a helicopter to build up the speed. And then he goes, and he's like, "Gomu, Gomu, hammer!" And boom, I mean, nails the, the whole pillar for this candelabra with this weird looking kind of pumpkin face on the top of it that's just kind of eerie. He winds up, breaking the pillar or whatever. They still can't move, though, after that, because really he's broken the pillar, but the candelabra, the top part of it, has kind of landed down on top of, like, the stump of what's left. And now all it's doing, and Mr. 3 even comments on it, like, "Idiot, you're doing my job for me." It's making the wax harden quicker, and because obviously it's dripping down quicker and it's closer to the heat from the candle. So ultimately, like I said, they're still trapped in there. They cannot move. And this is really just kind of a cool, battle between them. Karoo and Usopp talk about how they're going to, back up Luffy over here. Luffy goes, then Luffy goes in and goes to do something again. I forget what. I don't know if he's trying to attack Mr. 3 or he's trying to go and take the thing down again. And what winds up happening is Usopp goes and that's what it is. He tries to go and stop him, and Usopp goes and fires one of his exploding stars. Mr. 3 acts very quickly and goes and bats it into Mr. 5's mouth. Now, Mr. 5, remember his power, obviously he can explode and blow up parts of his body, his boogers, all that type of stuff at will. And he winds up basically like hitting this thing into his mouth. Mr. 5 goes and swallows it down, and you just kind of see this like, there's like an explosion inside of him, and he's just like, oh, he comments on the terrible gunpowder, the cheap gunpowder that Usopp uses, So just kind of a rather comical turn of events. Also, he winds up attacking him, as Luffy goes to then try to go and take down the rest of that and still free them. Mr. 3 kind of gets in his way again and goes to nail him with this art harpoon, he calls it, to hit him with it. And that's actually what winds up triggering Usopp going and hitting him or trying to shoot that exploding star at him. So I just forgot the order of events because it was pretty action-packed. So we then go and we have Luffy, again, kind of going toe-to-toe with him and getting ready and going to, to do, he's like, that's it, I'm going to take this thing down, right, once and for all. So he goes and he kind of just, gears up and gets ready and he's, gom gom or gomu gomu, and he's going to do his bazooka move, right? Well, all of a sudden, Mr. 3 goes and throws up, candle wall, right? And he throws up this hardened wall that Luffy basically hits with the bazooka and, maybe it damages a little bit, but it doesn't get through, and that's what he needs to do is get through. And Luffy's like, damn it, stop interfering in what I'm doing. And Mr. 3's like, you stop interfering in what I'm doing. I'm trying to make works art out of these people. I'm doing my job over here, right? Fulfilling my contract that I have to. You're getting in my way. So it's kind of funny because you can, obviously, depending on which side you were on, you could argue for either one to be like, leave me alone, stay out of my shit, So, again, I just thought it was just comical the way the whole chapter itself kind of transpires. So we then go and we see Luffy go and get ready to do something again, and Mr. 3 goes and fires another one of those candle locks at him, right? And Luffy goes and winds up grabbing onto it, and he's like, hey, thanks. And he goes and kind of gears up and gets himself ready again to do the Gomu Gomu hammer, right? And he goes and throws up, Mr. 3 goes and throws up his candle wall again. But Luffy ain't having that shit, man. The hammer, that is not stopping the hammer, because Luffy comes through and, just comes right through and crashes his wall and just knocks Mr. 3 way the hell out of the park, man. Home run. He's out, because you can see him just laying there. And I think it was actually one of you guys that commented too, like in at least in One Piece or in manga in general. I think, I don't know if it was One Piece or manga, but that once you see like the character kind of like laid out and you can see like the whites of their eyes, that basically means they're out, they're done, at least for the time being. So that's, and I found that out, I think, since Don Krieg was when somebody had told me that. So it's actually kind of cool because you see them just sort of like laid out and everything. I also noticed a bunch of people have been commenting on the Viz translations and everything. And, hey, listen, I don't know what to tell you about them. I just do the best I can with what I have in front of me. If it says one thing repeatedly, that's what I'm going to assume it is until, of course, it's changed over or I hear from a number of people that it's something different. So definitely don't take it to heart. I'm sure it can be frustrating at times for you, but again, we're taking a translated, like a work, a piece that somebody did, and it's being translated. And I mean, there is the same type of problems. You can find different versions of the Bible. I mean, like hundreds of different versions, and it's all based on the interpretation of that particular translator and his or her understanding of that language, as well as the language it's being translated into, and then him just making a judgment call and deciphering what some of those words are. So whether some of it was dumbed down because of 4 kids or not, I don't know. But again, I can just go by what I have in front of me, which is of course the books. So the chapter ends shortly after that. Luffy, of course, lays out Mr. 3. Everybody's excited and happy, and oh, Luffy, way to go! Now get us out of here. And then Luffy's like, no. And they're like, no, seriously, stop screwing around, man. We're turning into wax figures over. You got to get us out. And he's like, no. And then all of a sudden, you kind of see pretty colors. And we see that now, up until now, we haven't seen what Miss Golden Week's all about and what her powers are, but she's the only one left that we haven't seen a power from, and she obviously has some type of hypnotizing or hypnotic power, and clearly is able to mess with people's minds or manipulate them, maybe, I don't know, I'm not sure, maybe make them see things, but we kind of see that, and we see the end of it being, everybody's still in peril, and Luffy now has kind of he's in this trance, and I don't know if he's going to turn against us or what's going to happen, but certainly gearing up for the exciting next chapter. So the chapter question that I have over here is, as far as Zoro, I know a lot of people think, is he a badass, is he this, is he that? And I understand that he's just hailed as one of the most badass type characters ever, but do you think, are you more of Nami's way of thinking that it was, because she even makes a comment earlier in the thing, she says, why would you go and chop your legs off to get away? And he's like, I wasn't trying to get away, I was trying to chop my legs off to fight. And that's his mentality, but her mentality is you're going to be severely crippled, you're going to bleed out, and there's not going to be any way to fight. So my question is where are you on something like that? Not Zoro in particular, but just take something like that, a person that would maybe self-inflict a wound just to kind of, a person that would go and cut their own arm off to get out of a bear trap or something because they don't feel it. Now, would you do something like that if you needed to survive, or would you do that, period? I mean, some people are just like, dude, I'm too squeamish. I don't think that I could hack through a limb. I don't know. you put me in that situation, and maybe I could if there was desperation and extreme, just me feeling like there was nothing else that could be done. But I don't know. It'd be pretty tough to actually go and hack through a limb. So weigh in on that in the comment box down below on what you guys think, brothers and sisters. And feel free to hit the thumbs up, the like button, if you think that I deserve it. And, of course, subscribe if you haven't done so already. We'll look forward to catching you in the next one, Nation.
Remember, brothers and sisters, to share, subscribe, spread the word of the nation to others. And, of course, if you like watching the videos, watching them is always much appreciated. Have a nice day.